Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis. Join us as we seek the truth and travel the long road to justice. What's going on, everybody? It's Thursday. We're a day late, but we're here. Fruit Loop, how are you?
I'm good.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think we both have, because I did the same thing listening to some of this stuff. I have ringing in my ears now.
Oh,
It's
okay.
like,
Can I just tell you, I may have moderate to severe hearing loss after listening to these body cam tapes for hours because the other day I went and bought the real fancy AirPods, the new model, so they're noise canceling, which I love. I'll put them in my ears and just pretend I got music on so my kids feel like I can't hear them sometimes.
well, I ain't going to lie. When you had them on the other day, me and Taylor was over here talking about you, and we were like, she can't even hear us.
Couldn't hear a thing.
Uh-uh.
But the flip side of that is when you're listening to body cam footage and then all of a sudden you get that two loud staticky things and then you get beep, beep.
Yeah.
So I was sitting here this morning listening to this because I spent most of last night uploading it, which took the whole night. But now we have all the body cam footage on our YouTube channel.
Yep.
So my youngest, Sarah Rose, was in here sitting on the couch while I'm listening. And the first time it happens, I think I looked like I got a mild electrical shock because I jumped and sort of made a face and it scared her. She was like, oh my gosh, are you okay? And so I had to explain to her what was happening. But yeah, I might need hearing aids.
Yeah, I'm going to make a suggestion that they take that off.
Oh man. And the thing is, I had it at max volume on the computer and then on the headphones because I was trying to hear the background talk as well as it, in addition to whoever was wearing the body cam.
Oh, you listening hard.
Oh, I was listening hard and it hurt my brain when it happened. And the thing is, I could never get a pattern down for when the double beep was coming. So every time, I mean, it just made me jump. So I'm slightly traumatized from that, but I'm good.
Yeah, it was crazy. So we hiked the other day.
So much fun.
Yeah, we had a blast.
It was a great time.
And I ain't going to lie to y'all. Not going to lie. The app that I normally use, it was wrong for some reason. So we thought it was going to be 7 miles and ended up being 3.5 total.
Yeah, that wasn't bad because I'm not even going to lie. I don't think my oldest would have made it.
No. Like we're hiking and she's like, how much further we got? And I'm like, we've been like half a mile.
No, I think 2 football fields into the trail.
Yeah.
She says, are we there yet?
It was that and I want some macaroni and cheese and mashed potatoes.
Yeah, she was literally just throwing out random foods.
Okay, yeah.
The first mile, I'm hungry. Are we going to go eat after this? And then at one point, I just hear her say fried chicken, mashed potatoes, and gravy.
Yeah.
And she's just rattling off stuff.
So then she stole my peanuts.
I know.
Both of them. Neither one of them brought anything to eat.
She's talking about neither one of my kids.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, is it really my fault they didn't bring food? Because I almost feel like they should be a little more self-sufficient.
Okay, I told them before we left, before we walked out here, I said, y'all better get a snack. Oh, we don't need one.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that turned out to be a lie.
Taking my peanut butter packets and...
You were over there eating your little jelly beans, the
Yeah.
worst thing a diabetic can eat because my kids
Hey.
were eating your protein peanut butter.
No, I was make sure I was staying a little bit high on that so I didn't drop. So
Yeah, no, it was tough in spots.
it was steep in areas. But I'm going to tell you, your kids are so different. Both of them.
Oh, all 3 of them, really. I mean, just the 2 girls went with us on the hike. My son stayed back to do some schoolwork, but my girls are polar opposites, y'all.
Totally. So I come in, and your youngest is in athletic shorts, a t-shirt, tennis shoes, and a hat.
Yep.
I walk over to your oldest room, and she sticks her head out and I said, are you ready? She's like, I'm putting my makeup on. And I said, we going hiking in the woods. Why you put makeup on? And she said, for the birds.
She's a mess. And then the grand reveal, we're in here in the studio kind of tying up some loose ends. And she opens the door and like twirls in and says, how do I look?
Yeah.
And she looked like she was straight out of an REI magazine for like fashionable hiking gear.
Yes.
She has on, they are hiking pants, but then she had on a shirt that I have from the 90s. It's really old school and cool, but she had that tied up like around her waist and she had a cute little bandana on her head, but she looked like she was ready to walk the fashion runway in the middle of the forest.
Yeah. And her explanation on that was she bought it at the hiking store.
Right.
So we were giving her a hard time about it. But wouldn't you know it, on the trail, we pass a teenager, and she looks at her and says, "I love your outfit."
Oh my gosh. And then Taylor just gave us both that look like, I told you
Yeah.
so. And
Yeah.
here's me in Fruit Loop. Like, I literally have my tie-dye socks up to my knees because my way of thinking is if there's a snake around my ankles and he sees these wild socks, he might not go for it. And we didn't see any snakes, although I did almost fall off an embankment because I saw a stick that was shaped like a snake. And so I screamed and jumped, and my right foot went down, and my daughter's like, Mom.
Yeah, I can tell you there was like 4 times you said, "Oh, is that a snake?"
Oh,
And
yeah.
it was a root or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it was good.
We had a lot of fun, and we posted a couple of pictures of our lightsaber fight that we had with our hiking sticks, and
Yep.
I think we posted a video of the waterfall. So it was really cool.
And we all 4 of us at one point in time almost fell.
Oh yeah, I tripped over the roots that were sticking up. I mean, they got me.
Yeah.
Every time. It's just, I think maybe 5 times you guys looked back because you thought I had bit the dust.
Yeah, well, that little GIF that you put on there with that guy falling in the water, I don't know if you saw it, but I think you put it on there. Somebody
I did, yeah.
Yeah, that was totally, every time we crossed the river, like big kid over here, them rocks move when I step on them. So
It was like parkour.
yeah,
I
it
thought
was
about
like,
the Office parkour.
It was yeah.
Yeah, a
So-
couple of times you were doing like the one leg balance act and your
Yeah.
arms were out to the side. You look like a toddler trying to walk.
Yes.
You kind of look like how I walk when I wear heels.
There you go.
I look like a newborn calf
a
when I wear
newborn giraffe.
I look like a newborn calf when I wear heels. I don't wear a dress or heels unless I'm getting married or buried, y'all. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't even think I've ever seen you in a dress, Fruit Loop.
Probably my brother's wedding.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Last time I wore one, I think there was when my grandpa thought I wore, slacks, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I like to dress up and be feminine, but like dresses is just another level for me.
I want to be comfortable.
Exactly.
I'm at where I want to be comfortable, so my shoes are comfortable.
Same.
Yeah.
Comfort before style.
Yeah.
And-
Blue
and
jeans.
I like Gilda Radner. She had a quote. She said, "I base my fashion taste on what doesn't itch."
There you go.
And I felt that.
You remember when you was a kid, your parents would put you in them itchy clothes?
Remember your Easter dresses and you had
Oh.
we do have a picture of you in a dress.
Yes.
You're little and it's like my favorite picture of you. I may have to post that.
Oh no.
Yeah, Easter is funny because Easter we always got new dresses.
Yeah.
And that was like a big deal and we had our little baskets and now on
I
Easter.
hated it. I wanted to be playing in the woods. Like, give me the candy, but
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Easter egg hunt, it was on. I mean, like I would push,
Oh, yeah.
trip, dive, whatever it took to get like that one little mini Reese's cup.
oh, it's on.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I've knocked you out of the way today, Fruit Loop.
Yeah.
If you got in between me and an Easter egg,
There's some Reese cups over there.
I know I gotta hide them though because my kids don't know moderation. So I bought the big fat peanut butter cups. It's like the double ones.
Yeah.
They would be gone by midnight, so I'm putting them in my lockbox.
Well, I ain't gonna tell you. Your oldest told me, get them out of there and hide them before she gets them.
Oh man, it's just a game with her.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay, so you did something hysterical earlier. So me and your oldest are in here in the studio just working along, and you come in and you're doing your grocery deal, and all of a sudden when you're about done, I hear, "What's that noise?" It was like Aunt Bethany off Christmas vacation. I was like, "What's that noise?" And I'm like, I look and I'm like, "What noise?" There's
You
literally
looked at-
nothing.
are you high, Clary?
Yeah.
We also quote Still Magnolias, by the way, y'all. We're
great
Southern.
movie, great movie. And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And you go, "I hear a noise." And you open the fridge, and what?
Sherlock is in the fridge. So when I'm putting the cold stuff in, I turn my back to take my coffee pods into my pantry. And apparently at some point from me turning my back and walking back to the fridge, the cat jumps in the fridge. Well, I just shut it because I didn't see the cat. And so I go outside and take trash out. I like get the trash out of the front of my car, do a few things.
The only thing better would have been if your boy would have opened it and the cat would have been
Oh, I may have to. Well, I can't put him back in the fridge, but
That'd be
I
funny.
remember that head that we have.
there. Oh, it's right over here.
Okay, yeah. So I have one of those mannequin heads where you can do the hair, Well, I got it from, or no, I think my sister-in-law got it for my daughters years ago for Christmas. And that thing just became a prank around the house. So we would put it in the most random places and wait. Sometimes it'd take a day for somebody to come upon it, but you'd hear the scream and oh, you got me. I may have to stick that in there.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Because he's not expecting it. It's been, a year or so since we've had it out.
Yeah.
Now my shark, the little vacuum just gets, the hair gets caught up in it. If it's laying, because the cat fights with it.
That thing's evil. It's evil.
Oh.
All right. So enough of our rambling along here. Y'all were ready for the videos. So what do we got upcoming?
So the next court date we have is April 7th, which is this next Wednesday at 3:30 Eastern. And I think that's a status conference.
Yep.
I don't know whether or not it'll go into a breakout session. We know Lori's hearings have been paused for the time being for reasons we don't know, but we theorize maybe why.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what's going to happen there. I mean, at this point, they're not coming to any of the hearings anymore, so I don't expect to see either one of them.
I don't think you should have an option.
I don't think so either. I think you need to be there.
Show up.
Let's see your face.
Exactly.
So yesterday, we were given the full-length body cam footage from when Alex died.
That was crazy. It was like Christmas morning, dude.
It was crazy. So it took a really long time for us to get it uploaded onto YouTube because we had to put it into a program to join the videos together. When we got them, they were in different clips. So that took an hour per video. Then it took sometimes an hour to upload them to YouTube, but they're all there now. So you can go watch them in their entirety, but we're going to break down each video, starting with video 1.
Yep.
And, the one thing to remember before we get started is we just talked about this maybe a few episodes ago. We had just found out that while all of this is going on at Zulema's with Alex being incapacitated, there was a meeting with all these different agencies about the case, and they were notified by phone that Alex was down for the count.
Yep.
So that added a whole layer to this, and we'll get into that later.
I'm going to tell you, after watching this, like, I respect medical, police, like, all those people.
Yeah.
But after seeing this, what all went down here, I have a new respect for what they see and what they do.
Yeah. And we were just talking about it. I mean, these people, for the most part, are with other people in the worst moments of their life. And they have to go home at night and try to put that out of their minds and take care of their families and all that jazz. And so just a big shout out to all of our frontline workers, our emergency people, and because we really don't think about them until we need them.
Mm-hmm.
And I know when my grandfather passed away, we went to his house and they worked on him for a very long time. And they were just as devastated that they couldn't bring him back.
Yeah.
And it really, you could tell they were heartbroken. But so shout out to all you men and women out there who are watching our backs so we can sleep tight at night.
Yep.
So we're going to start with video 1. This one was really short, and these are labeled on our YouTube page. So we're going to start with video 1. This one was 5 minutes and 57 seconds.
Yep.
Now, the one thing that I did think about because eventually we get to a video where they're in the hospital and you can see them working on Alex blurred, but it's there. It's so bad to think how many secrets died with that man on that table.
Exactly.
So much stuff that he knew that we're never going to hear from the other two. All right.
Unless he told.
Well, yeah. I mean,
that's what we're hoping.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason that Zulema lawyered up so fast. I mean, he wasn't even out of the house yet. And she's saying, I'm going to talk to my lawyer.
Yeah.
We know she has immunity. I think that's your star witness right there.
Yep. I agree.
All right. Let's get started.
So as the officer arrives, you see fire trucks and an ambulance on the street. As they walk up, we hear a conversation in progress. So an officer says he hasn't been flatlined the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
He tells EMS they're good not to clean up, just to get their gear. The EMT says they bagged some stuff before they were told not to clean up. He double checks that nobody is upstairs. And the officer goes next door and asks to use the hose.
Yeah.
Right here, I would say hose pipe because that's what we say.
We say hose pipe in the South.
Yeah. He had something on his shoe.
It kind of sounded like maybe he was insinuating because he went to explain to her that he had something on his shoe. He said, I stepped in, and then he said, well, there's an investigation next door. So we just kind of assumed maybe he went into the bathroom at some point.
Yeah.
And might have stepped in something because we know that Joseph said there was feces and vomit on the floor.
Yep.
So that was all of video 1. We're going to jump into video 2. This one was 13 minutes and 22 seconds.
I want to say from just watching the first one, you can tell they were on a mission. They knew that it was an investigation.
Yeah, and I think I'm not sure if maybe somebody in Gilbert was aware of the situation of the bigger investigation, but you do see just a sense of that place was treated more like a crime scene than it was just a residence where somebody was in cardiac arrest.
Yep.
So this is from a different officer's perspective. So we may say he walked to the house or he walked upstairs. So that's why we're telling you on video 2. From this officer's point of view, he goes upstairs and you hear them working on Alex. You can hear suction where they're trying to suction out his throat. And somebody says, let's keep compressions going. So the EMT asks if he had left the suction downstairs and he asks for it.
Yep.
And then the officer says, our detectives are coming out. If you're not transporting him, just leave him be because we have other stuff we have to do at the house.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Yep.
Another officer says anything with drugs, anything she's not telling us. He says, we don't know, one of our detective sergeants, and then he's interrupted. Are they working something on him? Officer replies, yeah, I have no idea what it is or what's going on.
Yeah, so are they working something on him? So apparently this dude was told there's something bigger with this guy aside from the fact that he's in cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they didn't go into detail, but said, hey, don't let nothing out of that house.
Yeah. In the background, we hear an officer ask Zulema who she is, and she spells her name.
Yeah. And then you hear in the background, the EMTs are talking, and they say he's not flatlined. He's showing a PEA, so there's still a rhythm. And a PEA is a pulseless electrical activity where there's a cardiac rhythm that should produce a pulse, but it doesn't. And this is found in 55% of people in cardiac arrest. The thing about being in PEA is typically it's not responsive to getting the paddles out and shocking the heart, because I was looking for that both at the home and at the hospital, and they never, that I saw, they may have done it initially when they got there before officers came in with body cam footage, but we didn't see them ourselves use any kind of paddles that I could tell.
Yeah. Yep. So they say if he goes acystic, they'll call his death, and that means flatlined. In the background, you can hear, like she said, them suctioning his throat. One of the officers says, just from walking around the house, my assumption is it's drug related. He has little blow torches down here, or down there. The other officer mentions some prescriptions or drug, like, what is it?
It's kind of like Viagra, Cialis.
Okay, Cialis. That's a weird looking word.
Yeah, it is. In the background of this video, you can see them on the floor doing CPR on Alex. And an officer who's searching a room, they ask him if he's seen anything. And downstairs in another body cam video, you can hear them ask Zulema if he has a wallet. And she says it's upstairs with his license should be in it. So they were looking for that. But he never said if he found it. And they also clarified that Alex was originally found in the bathroom, but when EMS got there, they brought him out so that I guess they would have more room to work on him.
Yeah. So the EMT says, I don't know if he's swelling or if it's secretions.
Yeah. So apparently they were having a hard time getting the tube down to give him air. And so there was a lot of suction. You could hear that there was a large volume. Now, we know he had vomit in his mouth too. So some of that, is, especially if you're not breathing, it just kind of lays in your throat. I used to work in a hospital, so and I worked on an oncology unit for a long time. So things get pulled right there sometimes, and if they're not breathing and moving that out.
Yep. So the officer says he was still moaning when his son found him. He was trying to move a little and went out. The wife did some CPR when she got there.
Mm-hmm.
The officer then goes downstairs. Zulema's daughter is on the phone, And
She says, "Here's the officer in charge, Mom."
yeah, and I think, is this when she's already gone though?
See, this is where it gets confusing, and I honestly haven't taken the time to sort of watch each one and figure out when this stuff is happening. I think at this point, Zulema is maybe at the hospital because we know she came home.
Yeah.
And the amount of time in this one, they were just sitting on that couch for a very long time. So I would assume maybe this is after they pronounced him dead in the hospital. But I'm
Yeah.
going to have to go back and double check.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's when I was watching it.
Aren't
That's
you
when-
smart?
Because it got a little confusing.
It
but-
did get confusing.
So there's a man on the speakerphone, and it's Jose, Zulema's son-in-law, and he asked. This was crazy.
Yeah.
He asked the officer if they could wait outside if they didn't mind, and the officer says, "So as of right now, we have standing in the house. If you want, I can go get my supervisor, but we're not leaving at this point."
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he understood. See, the thing that I think is this. That's a really weird thing to ask somebody that's in law enforcement. But at this point, I'm sure Jose probably just thought, okay, he's had a heart attack. Why are they staying in the house? Not knowing what they know about Alex.
Yeah.
But it's still, I mean, they fought the issue a little bit because it said on there, we don't understand why there's a search warrant. So we're going to call our lawyer and see how this is going to go because we don't want any more. And it says, if you could not ask my wife any questions. So he's talking about Zulema's daughter. That's his wife.
Yep.
He said, I'm going to call my lawyer and I'll see you in a minute. And so a sergeant with Gilbert PD introduces himself as Mark to Zulema's daughter and asks if she needs to get her mother back on the phone. And he says, she asked, did she need to get Zulema back on the phone? And he says, you can if you'd like, or you can talk to me first and see if she needs to be on the phone.
Yeah, it was just odd.
Yeah, they didn't want them in there at
Yeah.
all. And I thought that was a little bit weird because if they don't know, and I'm not saying they know anything about the kids or any of this mess, but why would you be so adamant that the cops wait outside?
Yeah, something ain't right.
Mm-mm.
And like you said, I'm not saying they knew anything, but for some odd reason, they didn't want them in the house.
None of them. And the cops like, yeah, sorry, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah. So her daughter calls Zulema and the sergeant and asks him if it's possible for them to wait outside. So here we go again. This is Zulema asking now.
Yeah.
She said, my kids are going through enough trauma as it is without you guys standing right next to them. All three of my children have anxiety, and you guys aren't making it any better right now. And she says, why do you guys need a warrant for my house?
Yeah. So again, she's we think Zulema obviously knows a lot because she's got immunity.
Yeah, why do you need immunity if you don't know
Because she's got the
anything?
goods. She's
Yeah.
got enough info. If she has immunity, it tells me in some way maybe she knew about something, but in exchange for her testimony, they're going to let some stuff slide because maybe what she has on Chad or Lori or even Alex is bigger than what they could get her on as far as what she might have known.
Yeah. Okay, so the sergeant says, in response to her, we're definitely not trying to make things worse. We're not trying to have anybody feel bad or be anxious, but someone died in your house today, and we're not going to leave your house until we finish that investigation. And we're going to secure it while we seek a search warrant for the judge. And if the judge grants it, then we'll conduct the search as necessary to finish the death investigation. He says if the judge doesn't, then we will leave. But for now, we're going to stand by the house and control individuals' movements in the house.
Yeah. So Zulema says, okay, so let me ask you this. Why are you saying someone died at my house when he was pronounced dead at the hospital? And the sergeant says, well, the incident started here. I
Yeah.
get he was pronounced deceased at the hospital, but it started here in this house. And Zulema says, I see.
Yeah. And again, the sergeant says, we aren't trying to traumatize anyone here. And she says, you are.
She says it like twice. She's like,
Yeah.
you are.
And the sergeant said, you're entitled to your opinion, but we have a job to do. And unfortunately, sometimes that makes people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
He was very polite.
He
nice.
was super patient. And
Yeah.
I'm sure he takes into account that they're suffering from a pretty big shock.
Yeah.
I feel so sorry for her son, Joseph. First of all, it seems like he was in the dark about a lot of stuff. He thought Alex was Zulima's boyfriend.
Yeah.
But he's a young man, and to have to go in and see that, it's to find somebody in that state is traumatic. And you could tell he was definitely freaked out.
Yeah. But the sergeant goes on and tells them that they're adult. The people that are in the house are adults, and they're free to leave. They just can't move around the house.
Right. And he let Zulima know that they're not holding them there either.
Yeah.
It's their choice to stay in that house. I feel like they just didn't want to leave that house because the cops were there.
Yeah. Yep. So I mean that's like that in any crime. No, I won't say crime. Well, it was a crime scene.
It really kind of was. Alex's body is a crime.
Yeah.
Crime scene. I mean, just.
But it's typical. That's
Yeah.
anywhere. Anytime something like that happens. I mean, obviously, if it's a older person who passes away, whatever,
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
but they still they secure the scene.
Of course.
So that's typical. It wasn't anything out of the ordinary.
Mm-hmm.
So Zulima says, so Zulima says she's going to call her attorney.
Yeah.
And the sergeant's like, I have no need to speak to your lawyer. It's not going to change anything, but you're more than welcome to call. You have every right to.
Yeah.
Then she says she's going to. So
yeah. So someone asked Zulima. This was kind of hard to hear, but I think I might have heard right. Someone asked Zulima, "Are you on your way here?" And I think she says, "I'm in the Jeep right now." And I could have swore she said in the Jeep, but maybe she didn't, because I think at that point the Jeep had already been impounded in Idaho. And she said she was just going to go ahead and come to the house. And she said, I was hoping they would let me say goodbye because the detective took me out of the room.
Yeah, she's talking about the hospital.
She was in the hospital room for 2 hours.
She was there a long time.
A very long time. And we were trying to figure out how they let her in the trauma bay while they're doing CPR on him for 20-something minutes in the hospital.
Yeah, here where we're from, that doesn't happen.
No, and I did a rotation through the ER after I got my surg tech degree, and we never let anybody back there. The only time I've ever been back there as a loved one was a friend of mine shot himself, and they had him on life support until his mama could get there to say goodbye. But when my dad's mom, my Granny Vera, died, we had to, what they do is if somebody comes in and they're in cardiac arrest or they're critical, they take you to what they call a family room.
Yep.
And it's a room with a phone, a bunch of chairs, and a bunch of Kleenex.
Yeah.
And that's where they come in and tell you that your loved one has passed, or maybe they're going to move them to another floor. I've never seen anybody be able to stand in a trauma bay when their spouse is, or any loved one for that matter, is, and just observe the resuscitation process.
Yeah, I mean, she's literally standing at the foot of the bed at first, and she's saying his name. She's talking to him, and then she eventually moves to the side. But normally, it's to stay out of the. I mean, one of the reasons is you stay out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought that was odd. But maybe they have that in that hospital area, whatever. Maybe that's their policy.
I mean, it could be. It seems to me like it would be a big distraction to have any family member in the room while resuscitation's happening, and especially in this case because they knew at that point that Alex was a suspect in something.
Yeah,
it seems like it would have been a lot more controlled.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to see that.
I watched my grandfather, my pop, who I was very, very close to. When we got to the house after my grandmother had called, they had him on the kitchen floor, and it was one of those things where I just couldn't look away, and it sticks with me.
Yeah.
And I've seen it a bunch of times work in medical field, and I've done that to people when they've needed resuscitation efforts, but seeing your loved one get it, it's just, I can still see his stomach rising and falling, and it bothers me. I wish I had never really had seen that.
Yep. So the officer asks if they have any questions, and they say no. He says to let them know if they do, and reminds them they're free to leave, but not to wander around the house.
Yeah.
And he says they have a responsibility as investigators to determine if something bad happened in the house or if it's just natural causes.
Right.
So.
Yeah. They also, did we talk about the blowtorches?
Yes, we did.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So we're moving on to body cam footage 3. This was 2 hours and 26 minutes. It was pretty long. Briefly, there's some video of an officer downstairs, and this is where we don't understand if this has to be before he goes to the hospital.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it could be after and just that clip was at the beginning, but again, the piecing together of this is a bit confusing. So it starts at the house, and you hear an EMT asking if, I guess he was there, because you hear an EMT asking if they have an airway on Alex, and someone said yes, because apparently they were having a hard time getting an airway on him.
Yeah.
And an officer asks when he was found, and Zulima's son replies about 15 minutes ago. Okay, so we just answered our own question.
There you go.
And he said his mother called him and said to go check on him, and says his mom was at work when he found him. So he went in, and he says there was feces and vomit in the floor. So she came home and helped with CPR until EMS arrived. Joseph said he was having an anxiety attack, and somebody on the phone was telling him how to remove the vomit from Alex's mouth, but he said he can't do it.
Yeah.
And I just thought to myself, this is such the karma bus, because if you remember how, now I'm not saying this relates to Joseph, but clearly he's a young man that just couldn't physically do it because of anxiety. But if you remember how cool and calm he was in the 911 call with Charles, and Alex sort of says something like, yeah, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
He was so nonchalant about it. And then he tells them that he had done CPR, even though he's not sweating. He doesn't look winded. Anybody who's done CPR for a minute or more will tell you it takes your breath away. It's hard work because your adrenaline's going and your body's constantly moving.
Okay, you can tell. The ones who were doing the hospital, they were rotating off.
Yeah, they would count down from 5 and then they would just switch out. But if you I just thought several times watching this of, man, when Charles died, you could care less.
Yeah.
On that 911 call.
And he had no kind of blood or anything on any of his clothes or anything.
No.
So they ask, they're asking Joseph, who is he to you? And is he your dad? And Joseph says, no, that's my mom's boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
The officer asked why she wanted him to check on Alex. And he said his mom called and said he's on the floor. Officers asked, had she talked to him? And her son said that Zulima told him Alex was having some problems.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if somewhere, do we have this? I don't even know if it's somewhere where she talks about her getting a phone call or a text saying to go check on him because
yeah, that's kind of down a little bit.
I can't know. These videos like run together.
Yeah, they do, and it's confusing because you're watching 3 different body cam footages, and some of them are from the same time in the house.
It's just different angles.
So it's just different people wearing it, and so my brain doesn't fire on all cylinders on a good day. So me trying to sort this mess out, I'm just, it was kind of tough, but yeah, it's hard when you got all these different officers and their point of views.
Gotcha. So go ahead.
So the officer tells everybody to go downstairs, and then at that point, Zulima is there. And he asks if there's any illegal drugs, and she says Alex never used drugs or alcohol. And then he asks if Alex has been sick lately, and she said he's had shortness of breath, that he would get short of breath going up the stairs. And the last couple of days is when he gets up in the morning or stands up, and he says, oh, I feel so winded, was her words. And the doctor was questioning whether or not he had seen a doctor or if he saw one regularly, and she said he was the healthiest person she's known.
Yeah, and this is obviously after Zulima has did CPR on Alex, and everybody else got there, and now she's downstairs.
Right.
Yep. So Zulima is crying and asks if he's going to be okay. She says he was blue in his face when she walked in and started doing CPR.
Mm-hmm.
The officer asked when she last talked to him, and Zulima says he was talking to a friend on the phone. A friend. And said he wasn't feeling well, so the friend said they could give him a blessing. And her friends text her and said, you better get home now. He's not doing well. He's on the ground in the bathroom. And she says, so I called my son and said, go over there and make sure he doesn't pass out. I'm on the way home. She tells her son to hang up and call 911.
Yeah. So here's my question, and it may be just that Alex told them I'm in the bathroom, but I wonder if maybe this wasn't a FaceTime or something. I mean, they'll know based on the cell data because I was thinking, unless he told them I'm in the bathroom in the floor, how would they know he was on the floor and to go check on him?
Yeah. And we know prior to Nate with East Idaho News confirmed that it was Chad he was talking to. That's who gave the blessing.
Right. That's right.
So it's odd that she would say my friend.
And not his sister and brother-in-law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird.
It kind of goes back to, do you know Chad? And she says, oh, he's a friend of my brother's.
Yeah, and we did reach out to Brandy, and Brandy kind of clarified some stuff on the blessing stuff and all, and it's confusing for us, of course, but she kind of told us some stuff on that she had never actually heard of a blessing over the phone. And it could just be a healing blessing, maybe, that he was sick and he was just trying to give a healing blessing, but normally that wasn't done like that. So,
yeah.
Brandy, thanks for the info.
Yes, thank you, Brandy. You guys are great.
Oh, they are.
We have several people that have reached out and said, hey, if you have questions about this, let us know. And you guys don't hesitate to help us when we need it. So thank you.
Yeah, because I did ask her, too, was Zulema being in the room with him when they were in the ER? Was that something religious-wise? And she said no, that it wasn't. So, because we were trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
So she said it wasn't. So thanks, Brandy.
Yes, thank you very much. So at this point, the video switches to the emergency room, and you can see and hear them doing CPR on Alex, and they're using the breathing tube. You can hear them squeezing it. But you also hear what sounds like, this is what I think. I've heard the sound before in the ER. It sounds like they weren't maintaining his airway, maybe because it kind of comes up as a burp. It sounds like burping is going on. And what that means is the air is coming right back up that breathing tube.
Huh.
I wonder.
I was wondering what that noise was.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I thought. If you don't have that tube just right, or if there's swelling or something keeping it from going down, you can make that sound. So the officer was kind of, I couldn't tell exactly what was asked of him, but they were asking why he was staying there, and he said there's reasons. At this point with Alex, they're giving him epinephrine to try to get that heart started back again.
Yep.
And so the officer was saying that Joseph was talking to Alex through the door, and he said it went silent. And when he opened the door, Alex was on the ground. And so the officer was telling a staff member when they were almost there, they upgraded the code. So at that point, EMS was there, and I guess it was pretty clear that he was circling the drain, as we call it.
Yeah. It's weird that he was standing up. Well, he doesn't. Well, he might not have been standing up. Never mind. I looked at that wrong.
Yeah.
I was thinking, how was he standing up if the phone call?
Oh, yeah.
Chatty boy said he was on the floor in the bathroom. So
yeah.
Yeah. You may tell you odd about that. Like, why would you not call 911 yourself? Why are you telling Zulema to call 911?
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of just think the poor kid was freaking out a little bit.
No, not Joseph.
Oh.
I'm talking about Chad and Lori.
Oh, yeah. That is true.
I mean, they're talking, and they're like, you need to get home. He's not doing good. And
yeah.
Like,
I mean,
why wouldn't you say call 911?
Okay, so let's just unpack this a bit. At this point, investigators, they know, because the welfare checks happened. They know, the investigators know the kids aren't there. They're missing. Tammy Daybell was exhumed the day before all this happens with Alex.
Yep.
I don't know that Chad and Lori really wanted him to survive. He knew everything.
Yeah.
So maybe they just didn't care.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm curious to know how they were told, and we'll never know this, but her reaction especially, because her and Alex were joined at the hip, it seems like pretty much their whole lives.
Yeah. And we've said their beliefs are way out in left field. So Chad could have done some type of blessing and said, it's okay. You know what I mean?
Go to the light. I mean, I think he might have done some hoodoo voodoo.
He could have. I mean, we know they're way out in left field from LDS. So
yeah,
who knows what he's saying.
There is no telling.
I just thought it was odd that I mean, if I'm talking on the phone with my brother and I feel like he needs 911, I'm gonna call 911 myself.
Exactly. Even if they were in Hawaii at this point.
Yeah, they were gone.
But you could still say, hey, I need Gilbert Police 911 right now. Somebody's down.
Okay, I ain't gonna lie. When we were listening to that yesterday, I could have swore I heard Lori's voice. Somebody else thought they saw
Yes.
Lori, but I
Yeah.
could have swore I was like, wait a minute, that sounds like Lori.
It did, but I think it's Zulema. She has a very high-pitched voice, kind of like Lori.
Yeah.
But it was, I did a double take too. We were kind of like, what?
Yep.
So in the background of this video in the ER, you see them putting what I assume to be heated blankets on him, trying to keep him warm. Because you have to understand at this point, he's been down 40, 35 minutes or so with really no response. So you get cold really quickly when your heart isn't beating.
It's not pumping blood.
Is not pumping anything. So they were trying to keep him warm with the blankets, and you see them putting them on him.
Yep. So a staff member says the wife is coming in the room, and like we said, you see Zulema go to the foot of the bed. She says, Alex, I know you can hear me. You need to come back to me, honey. I know you can hear me. Come back. And she says that like several times.
Yeah, and at this point, there's an officer on the phone, and it was pretty clear that he was talking to an investigator or somebody else that was more familiar. And he said, well, they're still working on him now. We've got 20 people in this room. And there were a lot of people. There's always a lot of people when a trauma comes in.
Okay, do you know what I wanted to, this what went through my mind, and you know we're ADD, so y'all hold on a minute. Dude, what if you got to go to the bathroom?
And you're what, working on a patient?
No, you're the officer standing there, and he is not allowed to leave his post.
That guy stood up for 2 hours before he even got one of them little rolly stools.
He did.
And finally he just sits down, but he was like a statue. I'd have done fallen over.
Yeah, I'm thinking, dude, you need a buddy.
Yeah.
You need a buddy with you so you
tag.
can go to the potty.
Tag, you're it.
Yeah,
hold
you
my
watch
spot.
it. Hold my spot.
I know. See, when my little pea-sized bladder,
See, I was like,
I'd have had to grab a catheter from the supply room. And
I'd had to get one of them little cup thing, little things I couldn't do it. So okay.
An officer on the radio asks when compressions were started, and someone responds. The EMS started the compressions at 3:29 p.m., and someone says they've been doing compressions for 45 minutes, and he just hasn't responded. And then we see staff members switching off, like we said, with the CPR.
Yeah. They worked hard.
They did. And I mean, they, you can see in the background, it's just a very, very solid effort by those staff members to try to bring him back. And, but
this is what went through my mind too. Is that typical to work that long?
Yeah, I'll tell you, they do, especially somebody that's younger. For reference, my grandfather was 82 when he died, and they did CPR. I think he was kind of in the same, what is it called? What do we say? The heart rhythm where you don't have a pulse, but you got the electrical activity. So there's a chance that you can get it started back. They did CPR on him for a solid 40 minutes, and he was 83. Or 82. So, yeah, they do try for a good while. You do have a window there. But he hadn't flatlined, if you remember.
Yeah.
And because he was in this type of fibrillation, or however you say it, they gave it an effort. And those investigators did not want him to die.
That was my thought.
Yeah, they might have said, give a little extra effort.
They're saying, let's go. We need him alive because he knows too much.
Exactly.
Yep. So at one point you see the staff member switching off CPR. And at one point we see Zulema go to the foot of the bed and rub his feet. They stop and say he doesn't have a pulse. They talk about how a rhythm comes back sometimes, but he's not responding to CPR. And that's when they call the death at 4:19.
Yeah, they gave it an honest effort. Between EMS and the hospital staff, they did compressions for what we can figure to be about 50 minutes, 50.
Yeah.
Almost an hour. Man, this was a lot. They said they gave him 13 rounds of epinephrine.
Wow. 8
before he got to the hospital, and then 5 times in the ER. And he just never responded.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, if you get a clot to the lung, if the diagnosis, and this is kind of a case closed with Alex, as far as we know. Natural death, which they put that autopsy out so fast, so it kind of gives me hope that Tammy Daybells has something that's not natural.
Yeah.
Because if you remember, they released this autopsy, I think maybe February or March of last year. It was really quick.
Yeah.
He died in December? So this is February, March when they say.
I
That was
still ain't sure.
I'm not either. It just if he hadn't got that blessing on the phone, I would say maybe the stress of knowing the walls are coming down
Yeah,
around all of them.
Yeah, it's
but
hanky.
but he did have prior history. But I'm sorry. I know they say natural. I'm just never going to be convinced.
I'm gonna tell you, if I knew Chad or Lori, I would be going to an island by myself.
You ain't kidding.
Because you are dropping like flies. Oh,
I mean, it's
no.
not funny, but no, what you
No,
said is funny, but no, yeah, you're right. I would
be out of there.
I would get like one of those fake mustaches on my lip,
Mhm.
and I'd shave my head or something.
I wouldn't eat nothing, drink nothing.
Just drop weight and go live in a tent in the woods.
Because that's how it happens in the movies.
Exactly.
You know who it is? This is why I never order this. Room service. That's how they always get you in all the shows. Room service. You eat the eggs and you poison and die.
Side of arsenic.
Or you're allergic to peanut butter and they put peanut butter in your soup or something. I mean, in your chili. Yeah.
Oh man,
don't eat the room service.
No, I eat the room service.
Mm-mm.
I don't know why I do, because when you get that bill, it's like, how is it $120 for like 3 burgers and some fries?
Yeah, it's like Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone 2. Kevin, you spent $697 on room service.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Nah, dude, we go to Mickey D's on the corner now.
Yeah. Yep.
So, the officer that was there, he calls someone to tell him the time of death. And he informs them that the wife is there with the body, and somebody over the phone told him not to leave Alex's body.
Yeah. And he, at one point, says nobody is allowed to touch the body.
Right. So
they own it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think at this point, hadn't the FBI already been sort of called in? Maybe not. Maybe
well,
not.
yeah, they were meeting, right?
Yeah, they had that big meeting. I think they said the FBI was in on that meeting.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, immediately it becomes this is very well. Yeah, it had to have been, because if you remember, at his autopsy there was a member of the FBI present.
Yep, and remember, Kay and Larry got the call.
That's right.
You ain't gonna believe this.
Yeah.
Are you sitting down?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Man. Kay and Larry, poor. Oh.
Yep. Crazy.
Bless it.
Yep. So the nurse is asking Zulema about who to call to inform them of Alex's death. And she names off her kids.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was weird.
Yeah, she didn't say call his sister Summer, call Lori. I'm not sure who told Summer and the mother that he was dead, but
yeah, I hadn't heard that either.
Yeah.
I think, wasn't it Zulema called Melanie Pulowski?
I think so.
Yeah, I think she's the one that called Melanie Pulowski.
Yeah, so maybe Melanie Pulowski called her
Could've
family
been.
or whatever. I don't know.
Yep.
But you can hear she's crying by the bedside. She's upset. And what was about the medical examiner?
Okay, so the nurse asked, had the medical examiner been called? And the officer says he's not here for ME reasons. So he's not here for medical examiner reasons. And it sounds like she said she didn't want them to show up with Zulema there.
Yeah.
Another nurse comes up and asks if he's there for the ME, and he said he's there for other reasons.
Yeah, he didn't really elaborate.
Yeah.
I would see. This is where I couldn't be a cop, because I'd be like, "Come here, let me tell you what I know."
Well, I thought it was kind of funny how she motioned. You can see her on his camera.
Yes,
it's
you
like,
can.
Come here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's like a secret or something.
See, that would be me. I'd be
Yeah.
like, "Okay, what you know, dude?
Yeah.
Fill me in.
Tell me, what is this?"
But that nurse asked, is this for another case? And the officer said, yeah. And he said he would get her more information when he could, and that the other detectives were on their way to the hospital at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, that goes with what we said. They treated this from the get-go as something.
Yes.
Something's up.
I'm just curious, at what point in the 911 call, from the 911 call to how did they put 2 and 2 together that Alex needed, that he was under investigation? I mean, maybe somebody heard something over the thing, but I was just curious who heard it and said, "Oh wow, they're working on this case."
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't say.
Yeah.
So they talked about the doctor came in and was asking Zulema some questions just after he was dead and asking if he had traveled recently. And so she talked about he had went to Mexico that Saturday. And she said he got some stuff. I think you said some stuff for her down there.
There was some Cialis for him and some salt, something for her. Something salt.
Yeah.
Might be that Himalayan salt or sea salt. No, I don't know.
You can get that in the aisle to Piggly Wiggly.
You can go to the Piggly Wiggly.
You got to go to Mexico for some sea. Well, we don't know if it'll sea. It could have been like some earthquake making salt. We don't know.
Maybe it's, I don't know, some Mexico salt. Maybe they got some salt mines down there that's good. I don't know.
Can I just say I wish I was on a beach in Mexico right now? Because like our weather, it's the fake spring that we were warned about. It's so cold here today.
Look, it's going to be in the 20s.
What is up with? I'm so glad I didn't plant anything.
But then next week is the 80s.
Yeah, as far out as we can see, this fake spring is about to be done. And
I wish it would snow one more time.
Oh gosh, hush your mouth.
If it snows this weekend, y'all just give me a shout out.
Yeah, I'd put you on a plane to Boulder or something.
I could handle it.
Send you out to the Rockies.
I could handle it.
All right, so Zulema calls Jose, which is her son-in-law, and asks where he is. And I couldn't understand. I think he was maybe at her house. And Zulema tells him that he's gone. She asks how Joseph is doing, and he says he's okay. And he tells her he's sorry, and he really doesn't know what to say about Alex. And so she says she wants him to come to the hospital, but she wanted to make sure that Joseph had somebody to stay with him because he was freaking out when she left.
Yeah. And she needed a ride.
Yes.
Because he picked her up.
Mm-hmm.
So she must have went in the ambulance, I guess.
Could have. Back in the old days, you could. Now you can't.
Yeah.
At least here. The only time I ever got to ride in the ambulance with somebody was when Sarah Rose choked on a grape when she was like a year old.
Dude, I remember that.
Oh, it was the worst.
The bad thing was
So
she
scary.
choked, but then she was okay, and then y'all were like, no, we need to get this looked at.
Well, no. So
wasn't that what it was?
Okay, so her daddy is a doctor, and he said, the kid's like choking, and he knows how, I think he understood that it was going to end up and go down, and there was nothing really we could do at that point. So I freak out, and I'm like, what do you know? You're a doctor. I'm calling 911. So I call the ambulance. They come. By the time they got there, she had gotten it down. But he definitely would not have let her sit there if he thought, he said, she's breathing. She's not obstructed. If you freak out, it's going to stress her out, and then we could have a problem. Just let her get it down.
Yeah.
And she was fine. She loved the ambulance ride. I have the cutest picture I came across the other day of her sitting on that little stretcher in the ER, and she's just smiling. But man, I tell you, I think about that even now, and it freaks me out. Because, of course, my fear, as is every other mother, is something happened to your kid. And so just in hindsight, and moms, y'all know what I'm talking about, something scary happens to your kid, and it's almost like afterwards it's worse because you think about the what ifs.
Dude, your kids always keep it interesting. Remember when your middle boy flushed something down the toilet, and to this day we still don't know what it was?
Oh, yeah.
We plunged that toilet for like 5 days.
Yeah, and Fruit Loop, bless her heart, man. Remember that time that Sarah Rose threw a plastic banana across the room and it hit you in the tooth?
Cracked me right in the tooth.
I've never seen you reach up to your mouth. You're like, is my tooth gone?
Cracked me right in the tooth.
Yeah, I got more pictures of Fruit Loop getting beaten with like plastic swords or lightsabers or whatever.
Yeah.
They love Aunt Fruit Loop.
Yeah, with a helmet on.
You know what I saw the other day? The picture of right before they took me back to have Sarah Rose. I'm as big as a barrel, and we're both giving thumbs up. It's the cutest picture.
Yeah, you was pretty.
I was almost a douche, y'all. I was big. I gained 80 pounds with her, and she weighed 7 pounds. So you just tell me where that, I ain't doing the math right now, but you just tell me where that, 70-something pounds went?
Yeah.
I tell you where it went.
It was them Twinkies.
I still got that jiggle in my belly. The first time I took a run after I had her, because with Taylor and Mason, I dropped my weight so fast. Like, just, I nursed my kids. That really helps with the weight loss. But that third one, it's like, we're going to hang on. I remember I was outside playing with the kids, and I ran, and I felt Jell-O. I stopped. I said, what is that?
Speaking of Jell-O, you got that live picture of me hiking the other day, and I was laughing. And my belly looked like Santa Claus with a bowl full of jelly.
Oh my gosh. You were over there laughing so hard, and I had no clue what you were laughing at. And you're like, look at my belly when I'm laughing.
Yeah.
It's like wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
It was. My grandfather and my uncles do belly laughs. So when you laugh, like your belly shakes, you know?
Oh, you have the most contagious laugh, though.
Yeah. Oh, it was funny. I looked at that video and I was like, oh my goodness.
You watched it like 4 times in a row, and
did.
I look over at you, and you're red and you can't breathe because you're laughing at yourself so hard of how your belly's jiggling. So we just like laughing at ourselves.
Yeah.
We don't take anything too seriously, except for that.
No.
When I felt the jello jiggling, because I've always like a couple of my nicknames like was Boney Maroney as a kid, and Droopy Drawers because I'm not blessed with nothing on my backside, y'all. I'm as flat as a piece of paper. And so I remember spending the night at a friend's house, and I had my cute little PJs, my little top and bottoms, and the mama said, well, look at those droopy drawers. So anyways, enough about my lack of my derriere.
Oh, Droopy.
I need to take the jello jiggle from the front and implant it back there, and I would be good to go.
Hey, you need to get some of them little implants like they use at Halloween.
Oh, you can get those little silicone ones you put, but
Yeah.
be my luck, it would shift, and then I would look like I got some kind of
You look like a camel.
Oh my goodness. Sorry, y'all.
We might need to wrap it up right there.
Yeah. So let's just finish through this. The investigator shows up in the audio. I can't, y'all. I'm dizzy from laughing so hard. So the investigator shows up and the officer turns his audio off. And so the last thing we hear before the audio goes out for a good 15 minutes is a medical staff member comes in and asks if they can have something on the cart that they were using with Alex because they needed it. And he says, can you wait a bit? Because he was not going to have any direction about this kind of stuff until the investigator gets there. And so the staff member just said that they could unplug that from the wall because apparently Alex was still plugged into the leads and it was making a noise in the room. So then the audio goes out, and that was all with that one.
Wow, that's
And
a lot.
So that's the end of this.
Sorry, I'm not laughing at any of that.
No, we're not. It's just,
Keep
this is how we
imagining
roll, y'all.
You look like a camel.
Oh my God. Can you imagine though, those big silicone things and like one gets misplaced and it looks like you got, like a cheek up your back or something and one's way low and
Well, you did have a camel pack on when we hiked, so
I did have a camel pack
There you
on.
go.
All right.
That's
So the next episode we are going to do the last couple. The actually one we haven't done is over 3 hours long, and this is in the house. The whole time they're there waiting on that search warrant. So I haven't even watched it yet. It's just taken a lot of time to listen to what we have now and give my ear breaks when it feels like, my eardrum just got ruptured.
Hey, it's like that beep test when we were in elementary school.
Oh, yeah.
Raise your right hand or left hand, whatever ear it's in.
I was so confused about left and right. So the people are like, I think your daughter's got a hearing problem. And my mom's like, nah, she still don't know her left from right. So she's good.
She's okay.
Well, I think this is it, guys. How much time have we taken up, Fruit Loop?
Almost an hour, 57 minutes.
Oh, that's not bad.
So
kept
we
going
are
around.
going to try to do the caption on YouTube.
Yes.
We're going to figure that out. And we are still working on the Tom Ware stuff. You just got to be patient.
It's a lot. We've got it transcribed on our computer, but there's a lot of stuff that kind of isn't relevant to the case that we're following. And so we just want to make sure that whatever we share is only relevant to Tylee, Lori, Joe. Everybody else, it's not our business.
Yep. And we got some Letitia stuff.
Oh, yeah. We might do a little sweet tea update before Sunday to talk about the letter she wrote to the judge.
Yeah.
It was a Hot Mess Express.
Yep.
It's a foreshadowing of disaster to come.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we will see you on Sunday unless something crazy happens tomorrow. Again, check out our YouTube for all these videos. We've kind of broken down the audio on the first 3 for you, but it is interesting to see in the background. You can make out some things.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt like I was looking underwater the whole time.
It hurt my eyes finally.
Oh, yeah. I kind of looked away from the computer, and it was a shock to the system to be able to see clear. But, you're looking in the background for little clues, too. It was kind of like a scavenger hunt to figure out what was going on sometimes. But
it was like those, you remember those focus shirts that we had in like high school?
Oh, yeah. We had the posters, remember,
Yeah,
on our
they
walls?
were blurry.
Yeah.
But It was really
You had to
weird.
kind of sort of cross your eyes.
Yeah.
To see them. And some people just never could see like the boat in the picture, but I always
Yeah.
could.
That's how I felt watching those videos.
Yeah, it was hard on the ears and the eyes. So 2 of my senses are struggling, y'all.
Yeah. Yep. So let's see how many camel photos we can get on.
Oh yeah.
On
Oh
Facebook.
my gosh.
All right. Well, y'all have a good. What day is today? Thursday.
Today's Thursday. It's
Ooh.
April Fool's.
Oh, we should have done something.
I'm not your friend anymore.
Oh,
Get
no.
out my house. April Fool's.
Yeah.
I got my grandma though. Okay, so I went grocery shopping for her earlier, and so I go to her house. I said, "Grammy, I got to tell you something. We're moving." She's like, "Who?" I said, "Me and the kids, and the man of the house." And she's like, "Why? Where are you moving?" I said, "We're moving to Oregon." And I said, "April Fool's," and she hit my arm,
I'm
and
about to say, she probably smacked you.
she said, "I was about to cry," and then I felt bad. So she said, "The day's not over. Just you wait."
Dude, I forgot. This is my granddad's birthday today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he would have been 90 something.
Yeah, I saw that on your mom's Facebook, actually.
Yep.
So
Yep.
happy heavenly birthday, Mr. Hopkins.
Yep. That's right.
All right, guys, we'll see you on Sunday.
See ya.